message, and that's why I wanted to get through the whole thing. I wanted to demonstrate 3 or 4 or 5 different times how eternal life was wisdom and discernment in Jesus.
Yeah.
How eternal life did everything for Jesus. How eternal life dwelled in Jesus. And it caused him to discern the difference between the voice of the stranger and the voice of the Father. Do you know how much better all of our lives could be if we could just discern the voice of the Father from the voice of the stranger?
Oh, man.
Do you know how much more peace we would have?
Yes.
Do you know how much more rest we would have? Do you know how much healthier or restored our souls would get as we walk through this earth? If we could just do that. Well, eternal life dwelled in Jesus and enabled him to discern the voice of the Father from the voice of the stranger. Right? Because when you have eternal life in you, it causes you to see yourself as the Son.
Yes.
When you have fellowship with that eternal life that was made flesh in Jesus, you start to see yourself the way Jesus saw himself. Then when you see yourself as a son or daughter, and you really know what that means, you begin to see the Father for who he is. And you know the voice of the Father then. You know the things the Father would say and not say. Right? And so then it becomes easy when you hear a voice to say, that ain't the voice of God. It becomes easy when you have a thought or you run down the road with an idea. It becomes easy to discern that it ain't God who told me that. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And you start hearing that voice. Who told you, Greg? Right? That's when you see the Father for who he is. It's like people that know me, they know what I would do and not do. Like if somebody come and told my mom that I did some crazy thing, no, he didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, like if somebody come to my mom's house and say, well, Greg stole a car today. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. See, she knows me.
Right.
And so what happens is it's unto discernment in us. And we can discern the voice of the Father from the voice of the stranger. When Jesus was on the cross, he knew the difference between the voice of the Father and the voice of the stranger.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He was able to discern when the thoughts came, when the dark thoughts came, because he was surrounded by darkness. The spirit of life in him discerned the difference between the carnal mind and the mind of the Spirit.
Right.
And it pushed out the carnal mind and it grabbed on to the mind of the Spirit. Right?
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
It gave him wisdom about what was happening.
Right.
And why is this happening? What does it mean that this is happening? Because I hate to break it to all of us, every moment of every day we're going through life and we're encountering situations. And we're always thinking, why is this happening?
Yes.
What does it mean that this is happening?
Yeah, there you go.
What does it mean in general? But then we'll even jump to, what does it mean about me and the other people involved? Right?
Yes.
And there's no way around it. Now listen, that's like 5 different things that could happen in like one situation. Now how many times is that happening through the course of a day?
A lot.
Exactly. Now, so we have an opportunity to make conclusions about ourselves and all the people in our lives over and over and over again. And if they're not born from wisdom, we're taking judgments that never come from God, that aren't born from life, and we're sticking them in our hearts, and then we're running with them as if they're true.
Right.
And now that becomes our eyesight. And we begin judging things through that. And it's a big problem. It's a big problem. I mean, especially in relationships. I remember when Becky and I first got married. Man, I'm an intense person, and so is Becky. She's Italian. Becky's as sweet as can be, but she's also Italian. And so, man, she took kickboxing classes and stuff. And I mean, we never come to a physical fight, but she's intense.
Yeah.
And the relationship she had before me was not a nice relationship with this guy. I mean, this guy beat on her. He was emotional, all the kinds of things. And so when we got together, there was some stuff that had to be sorted out. I misunderstood her. She misunderstood me, and there was fighting and everything. And I remember one day, I was busy with God. That woman, you know, and I was just so angry and just thinking that my wife was a curse in my life because I was judging the situation, what it meant, what happened, and what it meant about me and what it meant about her. And now I was running wild with it, boy. And I was, you know, angry, upset, and everything else. And then God come down and said, Greg, you know that woman you're talking about, she's a blessing in your life. What? Don't you come tell me that. What are you talking about? You see, I didn't understand what I understand now. And now I see it working in me. And now I see what God was really doing. But what he come and did was he gave me eyes to see Becky, what was really going on in Becky in that situation. He gave me discernment. And the moment I could see what was really going on in Becky, I no longer thought this woman is trying to attack me. that thought got purged from my mind.
Right.
And I could immediately see what was really going on in the situation. And that caused me to come to the correct conclusion about what it meant, why it was happening, what did it mean about me, and what did it mean about her. And then great peace came. Great rest came. Guess what else came after that? Reconciliation between me and Becky in that fight. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And so, see, when we see things through the eyes of life, we're going to encounter corruption as we walk through this life. We're going to encounter people who are experiencing corruption. And the corruption they're experiencing may reach out and touch us.
Right.
Now, when that happens, we're going to start thinking about it. What does it mean? Why did it happen? What does it mean about them? What does it mean about me? And then we're going to run wild. See, but eternal life can dwell in you and be a light. It can light up your eyes with light, and you can see through the darkness and come out with the right understanding. That's how wisdom will work in you, right? And that's how you can walk away with peace even in a negative situation. That's how you can walk away loving someone even if they have done something hurtful to you. That's how you can walk away feeling rest and joy even should you encounter something that isn't exactly restful or joyful. Right?
Right.